Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Rochester Press Box. I'm Bill Pucko. Happy to be with you. Tariq Spence. How you doing, man?
Can we still say Happy New Year? I was wondering
Yes,
if we can still do that, because I think it's like a 7-day rule for Happy New Year.
Is it 7 days or is it the full month? I give it the full month.
Or when you see people within those 7 days. That's what I do.
Pat Duffy, how you doing? What are you wearing?
Well, I mean, there's only
There you
one
go.
number to wear today, right? After everything that happened over the weekend, or on Monday night.
How'd you get one so quick?
I mean, it's what I do.
The sales, interestingly, and that connects with the whole charity thing. The sales of Damar Hamlin's jersey and stuff are going towards the foundation that he set up, which is like just taken off.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we'll be talking about at the end of the show, but yeah, absolutely. It's something.
I think at time of broadcast, and I know it's higher than this, it's about 6 million. So it's probably higher than people say, oh, it's 6 million, Tariq, it's this. I'm like, at the time we're taping this, it is that number for now. But for underprivileged children, toys for underprivileged children, it's just amazing.
Yeah, because we have a fluid situation here, we should point out that we're doing this on a Wednesday, so
Yeah.
there's still a lot of variables here.
Yeah.
What was your reaction, Tariq, to everything that occurred Monday night?
I think, so I walked in actually late to the game and walked in with some friends celebrating a birthday and came in on the hit. So I missed the hit initially. They were in commercial break, came out. They told me like this guy went down, there's gonna be a commercial break. I'm like, okay. And then you see the video of what happened. It's like any other tackle. It's, you're thinking to yourself, okay, maybe he got hurt, sting or something like that. Then you realize how serious it is. And I was around a number of medical professionals and they started giving stuff about information about CPR and all these other things. And I'm like, I think this game is over. Now, in the time frame of it, I kind of just, in my brain, never seen anything like this before. I don't think anybody really has, to my knowledge. To see an ambulance on the field, to see the response of the players and the coaches. This was something that was in a stratosphere I've never seen before. Our thoughts and prayers obviously go out to Hamlin and his family and everything that's going on and everybody surrounding him and the prayers going forward. But my brain just switched to, this game is over. We need 12 hours to really find out what's going on with this young man, process this information. I wasn't thinking about what a lot of people were apparently thinking about. Are they going to play the game? Is this going to get done? This has implications. My brain went to this young man and stayed there, and I was kind of shocked how many people were willing to try to get the narrative off of him and getting back to what needed to be done.
Yeah, it's hard to process. The fascinating part to me is as you go, okay, you put the medical issue aside, it says how people are reacting and what's occurring. The first thing that struck me is that this was probably the second best place in the world this could have happened.
No, I mean,
the only other one better is if it happened in a hospital.
I mean, there have been multiple doctors that have said it, but I mean, Tariq hit on it, right? Like, I mean, it's the reaction of those guys, his teammates. Like, these are gods, right? As far as we're concerned, when it comes to the toughest, scariest, biggest men you've ever seen in your life. Josh Allen with his fingers tented over his nose, looking like, he looks like a child, a scared kid, which we all would have been. Stephon Diggs with tears streaming down his face, yelling, "Come on, man," off into the sky. There's a picture of Mitch Morse holding Tre'Davious White with his hands in his face, bawling his eyes out. I mean, look, I still have a hard time processing what we all saw.
And you're
Monday
in a unique
night.
position because you're hosting a watch party.
Yeah, I mean, that was the weird part, is I was in a room with about 150 people, and you could have heard a pin drop in that entire place. Like, there were people crying, watching what was happening in that 45 minutes. We had no idea what was going on. And I think it was all based on the reaction of these folks that were surrounding him. I mean, this is one of those moments where, one, you're never going to forget where you were when it happened. But as the days have gone by, you guys know what a big Bills fan I am.
Yeah.
And, season tickets, all that stuff. I don't think I'm ever going to watch football the same way again, because what was scary about that moment, past obviously the point that Damar Hamlin is in the situation that he's in, is it was routine. Like, we come to accept a certain level of viciousness in this game. Like, we're willing to accept, which is a terrible thing to say, traumatic long-term brain injury, as long as that person eventually is walking around a couple hours later, right? Like, we know that you can blow an ACL out, or your knee can become completely disconnected from your leg. It was the fact that was such a routine play that we've seen so many times that stopped a man's heart on the, I mean, he died on the field. I don't know how from this point forward I'll be able to watch any football game without sitting on the edge of my seat in fear. And I'll be completely honest with you, with this upcoming Bills game on Sunday, I mean, I've got my season tickets. I'm not sure I can go. I'm not sure I can even watch this game. How?
And so now the NFL will need to make new adjustments, new rules to truly try to protect as best they can every human being on the field.
I just don't know what you do because it's such a freak thing. And granted, I understand.
Everything you can. That's what you do. Everything you can.
I understand that most likely never happens again. Like if you look at what they believe happened there, it's unbelievably rare. But the fact that we now know that it can happen, the fact that we all witnessed it with our eyes, the fact that a mother had to come out of the stands to ride in an ambulance with her son in full uniform, living his dream, not knowing if he's going to survive in front of 65,000 people and millions watching at home. I mean, it's hard for me even days later to wrap my head around.
Yeah, the shelf life of something like this is always interesting, but I think the one lasting thing, and you guys both touched on it, I think, is it definitely changes the way that we're going to watch a game. This is the Rochester Press Box, and we're talking Buffalo Bills and the Patriots coming up next. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Our Buffalo Bills segment is brought to you by Ralph Honda. For 3 generations and celebrating 50 years now. As New York's first and oldest Honda dealer, visit Ralph Honda today. Find out how we do Honda right at ralphhonda.com. Okay, again, this being Wednesday, let's assume that the schedule goes as we believe it will, and the Bills are hosting the Patriots this week. The first thing I imagine, Pat, that you got to deal with is like, what emotional state is Buffalo in to actually play effectively in this game?
I have no idea how you do this game. I have no idea how you play this game. I have no idea. Look, I understand that the NFL is a business, right? And they have to figure out a way to finish this season. At the same time, you're dealing with 56 human beings in pads and countless staff members that were on that field that watched someone that they care about deeply. They watch his heart stop. And like, past the point of the fear for your friend, there is now the realization that the job that you do can put you in that position. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I mean, you know, the hyperbole of, you know, I'll die on the field before I quit. You watch that happen, and now you're going to ask these guys 6 days later in front of 72,000 people to go do what they did that put their friend in that position. Look, man, I know that these guys are tough, but you can't tell me that all of those people in Bills helmets are going to be able to go out there and perform. And what makes it even scarier is if you can't perform to the best of your ability, you are now putting yourself at risk for further injury.
I want to take a step back even before the game, the practice. What is McDermott going to say? How are these guys going to feel? This was a traumatic incident that took place on a field, and now you're asking those men to go back out into their own practice facility in their home stadium, which helps. I think it will help.
Think about this. They walked into that dressing room on Wednesday. Somebody dresses next to Damar Hamlin, and that locker's empty, and he's not there. Like, there's a giant gap. It's constantly there. It is always there.
But I think the Bills organization as a whole, the way I saw the leadership on Monday night with McDermott, and I believe he led the charge as did Cincinnati to sort of not play that game. I hope they have support. I hope they have a number of people around them, a number of counselors around them, guys that may be able to handle the mental aspect and the spiritual aspect.
Well, they're necessary. In a football sense, the team's got to look at it as like, these people are necessary for us to get an effective effort out on the field.
Double them up. Anybody who's in Cincinnati needs it and needs somebody at the ready to make sure that this happens. Now, that being said, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if these guys come out inspired. I don't know if they want to play at all. I don't know what's going to happen.
And on the other side, it's a meaningful game for the Patriots as their whole playoff thing.
It's a meaningful game for the Bills.
And I would just wonder what it's like in New England's practice. So the guy like Bill Belichick, as old school as he is, conducting a team. I mean, it's got to be weird for them too.
Well, I mean, it's interesting too, because to your point, everybody was watching that game. It was the biggest game of the NFL season. Like, no exaggeration. Mm-hmm. Think about this. Those NFL players that weren't even on the field watched that happen. Those Patriots players understand now the risk that they are taking when they step between those lines. And you also think about this, man. Like, I haven't made a decision yet if they play this game on Sunday as to whether or not I'm going to go, because I feel wildly uncomfortable about being in that stadium. I don't want to sit and have beers and laugh and high five, but at the same time, I don't know, in some stupid way, I feel like the players need the support of everybody that's in that stadium. But there's going to be a point live in that game where somebody takes a nasty hit.
But I would lean that way, only because I think if you try to put yourself in the mindset of a player, they kind of want you there to be supportive.
I understand, but when the game starts, when somebody takes a nasty hit, do they get up and celebrate? Am I supposed to cheer? Everybody's going to be on the edge of their seat after what they saw. When you score a touchdown, do we stand up and jump up and down? Do we care about whether or not the Bills win or lose that game with a kid at 24 years old in a hospital room in Cincinnati?
Last word on this, Trey.
I'm not really sure how to bring in the emotions. I definitely understand where Duffy's coming from when it comes to sort of celebrating it. I mean, I guess my question would be, what would you think Damar Hamlin would want? I think you have to go back out there. Again, I just don't know what to expect from this. And I respect anybody who doesn't want to play the week after. But eventually you might want to decide whether or not you still want to play at all. And that's also respectable.
Our Bills segment brought to you by Ralph Honda, Like It or Not, is next. Here's the Press Box Trivia question brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Hey, hello again, Mike O'Brien, your getaway guy. Today's getaway, Boston's North End. It's great Boston food finds. I'll take you to my favorites. Look for The Getaway Guy on Facebook. The Getaway Guy on Facebook.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here in the Rochester Press Box. Our Like It or Not segment is brought to you by Sport Clips, where the MVP experience is better than ever. Sport Clips, the pros in men's hair. No appointment is necessary. Stop by a Rochester location today. Like it or not, we got an NCAA football championship game Monday.
And a team to root for where you don't know what to expect, but you're rooting for TCU, aren't you? You're rooting for a big upset against the big dogs. It almost happened actually in the games earlier, where it would have been interesting to see Ohio State and TCU, but it is going to be the big dogs, and it's going to be the team everybody roots for. You had that Appalachian State. You've had the Blue Mountain, what was it, the Idaho State, whatever it was.
Blue Mountains.
Whatever the hell it was. Whatever those gimmicky teams were, this is the Butler of football right here. This is the team that everybody's kind of like, I wonder if TCU could do it.
If there isn't one, there should be a Blue Mountain State.
Whatever it is.
Now, I think this is the first year we're going to see what recruiting changes have done to NCAA football, what NIL has done to NCAA football. I think that this game is a heck of a lot closer Monday night than anyone gives it credit for.
I think a very close game. I'm hoping for it. The two games prior to it were close and exciting, fun all the way up to the end. Championship games don't tend to do that, but we'll see.
Like it or not, the Winter Classic, outdoor hockey in the NHL.
I hate it now. I just
That is not where I thought you'd go.
Here's the thing, man. All right, they did the Heritage Classic a while ago, the first one outdoors they did in Canada other than the one in Vegas. Then they had the official Winter Classic, first one in Buffalo against Pittsburgh, and it was beautiful.
It was wonderful.
Snow was falling, the uniforms were great. If the NHL kept outdoor games to one a year, this would be awesome. The NHL does like 15 outdoor games a season. I'm sick of it. The sight lines on the game are terrible, watching from home and watching from the stands. The play on the ice is terrible. The one they did last year in Lake Tahoe, they had to wait until nighttime to do because the sun was melting the ice. You're $1 billion league. You can't find a better way to do this? Like, I get that it's romantic and I like the idea of it, but I've seen it 30 freaking times in the last decade.
I only got one question for you. What are the numbers? Attendance and ratings.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course. You're going to sell.
Well, I don't know. You know, this one at Fenway Park, and that's right up my alley. This game was played at Fenway. I didn't even know that it had occurred till it was over.
There you go. I'm a diehard NHL fan. For 3 days, I thought that I thought it was happening on the 1st of January, the 2nd of January. Oh, it's the 3rd of January. Okay, we're doing it now. We're doing it today.
You know, it's like baseball does this thing at Williamsport and had the Field of Dreams stuff like that. Don't overkill it. Take it, when you've got and it's so hard when you've got something that's great like that, is don't kill it with overkill.
Yeah, you're right. I will limit the games down a bit. Like maybe half those games. That is a lot. But, it's an experience that seems to want to grow. So we'll see what happens. If people want to go and people want to watch, they're going to keep doing them.
Our Like It or Not segment brought to you by Sport Clips. Unfinished Business is next.
The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. Come home to McArdle's.
And now Now to Eichel. He floated one. Score!
Welcome back, and thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box, our unfinished business segment brought to you by the Genesee Brewhouse, your beer destination since 2012. Visit the gift shop, enjoy a tasting at our pilot brewery, and dine at the pub-style restaurant at the Genesee Brewhouse. Unfinished business, Pat.
We were talking earlier in the show about how Damar Hamlin's charities raised $6 million at this point as we tape from fans and players and people across the world, and it's a beautiful thing. But money's an important thing to talk about right now. Damar Hamlin's in his second season in the NFL. He's made about $1.5 million so far, which is a lot of money. You take taxes and agent fees away, you're looking at around $800,000 to $900,000, which is a lot of money, but not enough money to take care of you for the rest of your life. And here's an unfortunate truth. You don't want to speculate about what's going to happen, and you hope to God that Damar Hamlin is going to walk out of that hospital and be the man he was before he went in. But there's no guarantee that's going to happen. And here's something you may not know. The NFL, the Players Association, those players that have played before get NFL benefits, health, for 5 years after they retire. So unless something changes, Damar Hamlin is going to be taken care of medically for 5 years after that incident happened if he never plays again. Who knows what he's going to need for the rest of his life? He's made $900,000 cash. He's going to have health benefits for 5 years. If he has long-lasting effects from what happened, what is he supposed to do? What if he can't make a living? I know we don't want to think about it, but it's a legitimate possibility. I throw this at you, and I want you to think about it for a second. If we love the NFL so much that we gave it a day of the week, that we spend the money that we do on tickets and watching games on television and the jerseys that we buy, don't we owe it enough to the guys that are going out there and we're finding out legitimately risking their lives to hold pressure to the NFL to take care of them medically for the rest of their lives? He's not old enough, hasn't played long enough, Damar Hamlin, to even qualify for an NFL pension. If he can go out and play a game that can stop his heart on national television in front of 65,000 paying fans and tens of millions more watching on television, they can take care of him for the rest of his life.
Sometimes the party is over when something serious takes place. Listen, I love football, and what happened on Monday night was a very tragic situation. But as soon as you find out how serious something happens while you're having fun, while you're enjoying it, while you're being entertained, the party is immediately over. Nobody cares about how well your team is or what bet you had or wherever it's going to go and how this is going to implement anything else. There's also people that are not in the sports world doing their job, doing things that they plan on doing. Donovan Mitchell was out having a great night in the NBA, had no idea what was going on in the NFL. He gets upset or he gets harassed for making a comment about something he didn't even know about because he wasn't informed. He was off doing other things. I guess my point would be here, when you get the information, when it gets serious, when the party is over, it's over, and all that matters is the human being that's involved with the tragedy. Let's give it 12 hours, 24 hours before we decide to care about what's going to happen next or who's going to do what. Let's worry about the individual at first, and then everything else is a distant second.
There was nothing, absolutely nothing unusual about the play. The football player in question was about to move on to the next one when he suddenly collapsed. Paramedics rushed onto the field, CPR was applied, an ambulance drove the player to a nearby hospital. Those remaining on the field were stunned silent, as was the crowd. Sound familiar? His wife was in the stands, and she accompanied the ambulance to the Henry Ford Hospital 3 miles away. The game itself, which would otherwise have been forgotten, actually resumed. The Bears beat the Lions. It was October 24th, 1971. Chuck Hughes, a 5-year NFL veteran wide receiver and just 28 years old, died that day. It was later learned that Hughes had an undetectable heart condition. Playing football may have contributed to the tragic event on the field at Tiger Stadium. It didn't cause it. There was no one to blame and nothing to blame. The Detroit team retired as number 85, but the Lions, being the Lions, decided to reissue it in 2005. Tragedy has a 34-year shelf life, I guess. Practice team member Tom Kennedy wears it now. I wonder if he knows. So yes, this kind of thing has happened before. Maybe not in a standalone primetime game with millions watching on television and the like, but yes, it has happened before. And we are no more equipped to process it now than we were then, or will be the next time it happens, because it will. In seeking a productive individual response to the events of the past week, the best I can think of is this. Learn CPR. Learn some first aid. There are online courses. There's an American Heart Association Center on the Scottsville Road that will help you. Be ready. Learn to be the hero in your everyday existence because you never know. You never see it coming. Positioning yourself to actually help is better than thoughts and prayers afterwards. A lot better. That's our Unfinished Business, brought to you by the Genesee Brewhouse, and that is our program. Gentlemen, thank you very much. It was well done.
I think we'll see sports differently now. Hopefully the NFL will see their sport a little bit differently now and make some changes going forward.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll be honest with you, I felt guilt watching any sport all this week, so I don't know, and I don't know what happens moving forward.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next week with the Rochester Press Box.